Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry, where today we are looking at a new German, well, is it a battle cruiser? Not actually. Let's say it's a super cruiser. This at tier 8 is the Schill, most likely named after Ferdinand von Schill, who was a revolutionary, a Prussian officer who, during the occupation of Napoleon, was running a very unsuccessful revolt against said Napoleon, and did lose his life as part of it, but was considered a bit of a hero for his efforts afterwards. And this is an interesting ship because this is a P-class cruiser. Now, what were the P-class cruisers? Well, everybody probably knows the German pocket battleships that got naval designers across the world a little bit scared, and everybody sort of freaked out a little bit about those things. The P-class was one of the successor designs. So in the 1930s, these were meant to be part of the Plan Z to, take on the British Navy after the Anglo-German naval agreement was eventually scrapped. And there were supposed to be 12 of these things. And they were the spiritual successors of the Admiral Graf Spee and her class. So they would have had 11-inch or 283mm guns in 2 triple turrets forward and aft, and they were meant to be commerce raiders. So the idea was that while these things were basically keeping the convoys busy and forcing the British to bring actual battleships along to defend them, thus depleting the British home fleet of an effective strike force, they would have enough firepower to deal with heavy cruisers contemporarily, but would also be able to just run away from everything else. This is what we commonly call a battle cruiser, and henceforth the P-class had been abandoned after they had actually already ordered some of them. The B-class had been abandoned in favor of the O-class battle cruisers, which then also never happened. So all of this was part of the big Plan Z to build a navy around an aircraft carrier, the H-class battleships as a core, and then a whole set of commerce raiders and things around. And effectively, the German leadership at the time was told it would take about until the 1950s to get that all done. And the German leadership at the time decided that screw that, we're going to no longer be playing nice and was going to attack everybody around it. So the whole plan just fell apart. And after some embarrassing and painful losses of surface ships, the German Navy eventually concentrated mostly on building submarines, which, as Dönitz had said before the war, they should have done from the very beginning, and things might have turned out differently. Anyway, so these things were never built, so it's very nice to get one. We do actually have the Graf Spee at tier 6. This is sort of the updated version. Let's take a look at how this compares. Now, it's classified as a cruiser, and it is a cruiser hull. So let's begin actually by comparing her to the Admiral Hipper, the actually existing tier 8 cruiser on the German tech tree line. And the first thing that we will notice is that the Schill, while getting the customary sonar and the, for premium, somewhat customary defensive AA, she also gets a very uncustomary rapid reload. This is usually something we only see on black ships on the German line. Mostly we're going with precise aiming, so this is interesting. And we have, if we're looking at the hull, basically an Admiral Hipper hull, with even worse torpedo damage reduction, which doesn't matter really much, but it gives you a bit of an indication that this is very much a cruiser. She does get more hit points than the Hipper, however. Maneuverability is very much on par with the Hipper herself, and the Hipper is a good ship. And interestingly enough, the reload is as well. Now the Hipper has 203mm or 8-inch guns and has a 10-second base reload. The Schill gets 283mm guns and has a 10-second base reload, but she gets only 6 guns. So that sort of compensates for that. Interestingly enough, the turrets rotate faster, but these are pretty good guns. The Schill also gets, for a cruiser, very uncommon, actual functioning secondaries and not things that just sit in the 3D model. She gets 2 triplet 150s and a set of 105mm dual-purpose guns. She also gets torpedoes. I think on PC she's somewhat known for long-range torpedoes. That's not quite the case here. These are literally the hippest torpedoes, but instead of getting 4 triples, she gets 2 quad launches. So the sort of the worst of both worlds if you compare, for example, with the Odin, which is an actual battlecruiser at this tier and has slightly larger caliber, but has much longer range torpedoes and much better secondaries. So here we have to content ourselves with 2 quad torpedo launchers with the cruiser range of 5.4 kilometers, which is very, very close. She does have better AA than the Hipper. Now, the Hipper is not known to be an AA ship, and the surface detection is almost the same, so we can get some interesting things going with that. If we compare her to the Zeton, which is the other 6-tier battlecruiser, a 6-gun battlecruiser in the tier, we'll notice that obviously the guns are, while much larger caliber and much more impactful on the Zeton, also have a much longer reload. And this is with a ship that actually gets a rapid reload in terms of the Schill. The secondaries on the Zeton are, well, there are more of them. Otherwise, they are pretty much the same. Interestingly enough, the Schill does not get high explosive secondaries. She can only fire armor piercing, and it's not quite as good as the exact same guns on the Zeton. The auto secondaries, while on paper again the same, are inferior, and she doesn't get the secondary overload skill. So this is not a secondary build. This is not a ship that you build around the secondaries. The secondaries are good, but sort of the main guns is where the fun is with this ship. And yeah, the torpedoes on the Zeton are significantly better. So we have a big ship. This is a really chunky ship with Admiral Hipper armor and sort of a semi-battlecruiser layout with short-range torpedoes and better AA. Let's take a look what we can do with this thing. We get the choice between the German customary elite bonus of the improved armor belt, which I would not recommend actually, because the armor isn't that great to begin with, and you're not going to suddenly tank battleship shells. This thing gets hammered by enemy ships very easily, and in that I would much recommend using the main battery traverse. In terms of camouflage, we get 2 camos, and again, as is customary with the German ships, they actually both look pretty good. So this is the historical camo, which looks nice. And we get the Eagle camo, which also looks nice, because it looks like the classic German stripy camo just with an eagle painted on the side, and I don't mind that, to be honest. Now, in terms of stats, the Eagle camo gives you hit points, range on the main battery and on the secondaries, and range on the torpedoes, which is good. The historical gives hit points, main battery, secondary, and secondary auto range. Now, the secondary auto range, I would almost say, is probably slightly inferior to the torpedo range. But again, it's 5.4 kilometers base range torpedoes. 4% gets them to 5.6 and a cookie. So it's not a huge difference. And as such, I think it's down to either whichever you get in a bundle or from wherever the ship comes in. Is Blitz Pass ship or something. It's probably the alternate. But the historical is, for all intents and purposes, on par with that. Now, this is a cruiser, so we don't actually get access to the secondary module, which is a bit of a shame, because I would have kind of liked this to be a secondary build, especially to deal with destroyers a little more easily. So you have a couple of interesting options. You can go with precise aim to get these 283s on target more effectively. You can go with secondary battery mod 1 for just getting the reload of the 150s down, but the 150s are not going to be doing a massive amount of damage on the ship. Or you can go with the auxiliary modification, which actually gives you range on the 150s and on the 105s, and gives you range on the AA. I think all of these are good choices, and Heck, you could even go with the aiming system modification for better traverse speed if you were so inclined. But honestly, for me, it's between those three: more precision on the mains, a faster reload on the 150s, or range on these things. This is what I've been playing with, but I would say they're all equivalently useful. Second slot is, to nobody's great surprise, is propulsion, and I'm actually sailing concealment because this is a relatively big ship and as such a big target. And battleships will hurt very badly. So being able to surprise somebody with a ship this size, if you can surprise an enemy cruiser and you've got the rapid reload ready, you can do some severe damage to them. Commander-wise, I am actually sailing with von Hipper here, mostly because of the APCS and because of the Sixth Sense skill. So these are the sort of two skills that I'm really after. It's a bit of a quirky one because you have a defensive AA, and obviously you could be taking a battlefield support for an extra sonar and extra def AA, and then effectively go down the middle here on a regular commander. Whereas here with von Hipper, I would definitely go for the Sixth Sense because it is just so useful on a ship that has to deal with lack of armor. The Armament Repair Expert Plus on von Hipper is not bad either because you get your 150s shot off all the time, and you only have 2 of them, so you're losing. You tend to lose your complete secondary complement relatively quickly. Other than that, Close Quarters Combat Expert Plus, obviously for dispersion on the secondaries, is great. You don't need the Marksman, but I am going with Fire Supremacy for an additional rapid reload, and with Master Reloader, obviously. But only in the second round. In the first round, I'll be playing with an 8-point commander. And the Armor Piercing Capped Shell Plus is for the main guns, and is at 283mm at tier 8, pretty much needed, because you'll be struggling to punch through otherwise, and you don't have the armor to necessarily always get close. You could go for Horizontal Protection Expert, but honestly, I don't think that ship has that much armor on the deck. We don't know exactly, but historically, it would not have been an awful lot. I think it was around 70mm, but I could be wrong here. So this isn't going to protect your deck in any way from battleship shells punching through. Instead, I'm taking the Giant Hunter actually for a bit more torpedoes because it's a German ship, it's a brawler. But you could try it, or you could go for Citadel Strike. Honestly, I don't think any of the 3 makes a massive difference at tier 12. The important one is the APCS for the guns to get this extra punch at 11. So, as usual, 2 games. One just a ship with regular camo, regular consumables, regular commander at level 8, and one fully decked out with von Hipper as the legendary commander on the Schill. The first round with the regular setup and without the APCS is going to be against North Carolina, Roma, Colorado, obviously Black Shimanto because these things are everywhere, Albemarle, Miyoko, and a Helena. The Warhammer 40k event has started, I believe, so we're starting to see a lot of these things around the tier. No destroyers, so off we go. And we are playing Domination on Sleeping Giant. I can't say I'm familiar with this map. It might have been one of the new ones, or newish ones at least. But yeah, so you might be very tempted if you're sailing the ship to treat it like the battleship side of a battlecruiser. It's very much not. It's the cruiser approach to a battlecruiser. And effectively imagine that you're in a Hipper and play accordingly, and then you should be pretty much good to go. We are starting out near Sea Cup with a friendly Lightning, and I'm not sure I'm in favor of this new greetings. Honestly, let's give them a hard time is not something I am willing to hear again, if I can avoid it. So yeah, not a huge fan. Anyway, Lightning is going to scout, and this is the concealment build, so I will have I will get a jump on anything, and obviously with the 283mm, I am expecting great things against enemy cruisers, and that's what I'm hoping the Lightning is going to scout for me. And I'm just going to stay behind the island here for the time being and wait. Okay, he has found the Helena. I don't think that's Sly 47, but in any case, it's a Helena. I don't think I can lob this mountain here, so we'll wait for the Helena. Helena has unloaded. The arcs on the main guns are very flat, So rapid reload up and shots out. There is also another cruiser. Yeah, there's the Shimanto, so we do have to be a little careful here. But the arcs on the main guns are relatively flat compared to the 150s. And the precision the dispersion can be quite wonky, to be honest. And the penetration is, without APCS for the caliber, a little underwhelming, to be fair. I've got a bunch of semi-pens against the belt armor at 6 km. I was expecting a little more, but obviously they are relatively large guns, so you will eventually do your damage. Still, I was expecting to nuke that Helena, and that hasn't quite happened yet. Obviously, I do have to be a little careful with the Shimanto here. My torpedoes are still on cooldown. Shimanto is obviously firing armor piercing for some reason. And now that my torpedoes are coming on again, the Shimanto refuses to come out and instead shoots my turret off. Now this is one problem that you have with ships that have only two main gun turrets. And here is the problem with the elevation, because I can't shoot at them, but they can shoot at me, provided they can actually see me. So scooting ahead and unloading at the Helena. Haven't quite cleared the rear gun here, but I should be able to take him out pretty much with the next salvo, and that should be the end of the Helena ideally. Yeah, there he goes. So that just leaves the Shimanto. Now whichever way the Shimanto is going around, I think the Lightning is going east behind me here, so I just do have to be a little bit careful not to get a face full of torpedoes. So I'm going to open up the distance a little bit. Let's see if the Shimanto comes this way. No, he's going the other way around. Okay. And again, I don't think I have elevation to get over that island. Trying to open up the distance a little bit to get these guns on target and help the Lightning, but the main guns can't, whereas the 150mm secondaries can elevate over this island here. Still careful with torpedoes, but I'm unspotted at this point, so I should be relatively safe. And now even the 150s can't get across anymore. So fortunately the Lightning has been on the ball and has taken out the Black Shimanto. Well done. And that means I can take C-Cap and then go and unload at that unsuspecting Colorado over there. Now I'm down to 22,000 hit points and I've still got a minute on my heels. So if the Colorado is paying attention, this is going to be a problem. That said, if I'm looking at his gun turrets, he is not paying attention. So I'm aiming for the Colorado's deck, and I'm not getting an awful lot done so far with the 280s, but at point blank range, now he has noticed me. At point blank range, obviously, you should start seeing better results. And rapid reload up. And I am just trying to aim here for the deck armor, but I might have to... the dispersion often draws them down, as you can see, and if they, even at point blank range, if they hit the belt of the Colorado, they're not going to do an awful lot. So manual aiming might be a necessity here at point blank range to make something happen with these guns. And yes, I am trying to outrun Colorado's main gun turrets here, and not quite sure if I've managed to, or if he had the high explosive loaded, but either way around, I think that was armor piercing. My torpedoes are reloaded already, so that's a dead Colorado, and that just leaves that what is it, Albemarle over there. So let's get some torpedoes away in case he turns in, and yes, I'm on fire. Oh, and was that a Tirpitz or an Odin? I'm not sure, but whatever it was has already taken him out. And again, with the Roma here, the flat trajectories of the 280s are causing me a bit of grief. So I again can't elevate over the island, and actually have to sail around it. So while we are trying to collect a couple more points on that Roma, and he's already dead, at close range, this is a very dangerous ship. But the 280s are uncharacteristically suffering, I feel, without the APCS. I was expecting a little bit more from these guns against things like light cruisers, but nevertheless, the main guns is sort of where the fun is in this ship. And let's do that again with APCS Plus this time and see how that changes things around. And we find ourselves on encounter, against Black Kansas, Amagi, Monarch, Takao, Black Shimanto of course, and Double Benson, so 2 destroyers out there. Against destroyers, you kind of have to rely on your 150s a bit more, and the main guns are not bad if you load the HE against destroyers, and it's more the dispersion that can really cause you some trouble here. Regardless, I am in a stealth build, so we are spawning with Harlem and Atlantico, and that means I can go ahead a little bit and see if we get some potentially some cruisers to shoot at. Team calls out, careful, please attack this way, acknowledged, but this is encounter, and people have a tendency to lemming train on encounter. So I'm keeping one eye on the center, and would you know it, one of the cruisers from the spawn cap is already heading over to this flank. So I'm kind of mentally getting ready at this point to turn about and to return to the cap to defend it if that should become necessary, because most likely the enemy team is coming around the other side. Friendly destroyer is not scouting, but is laying for ambush. I'm spotted, so slowing down. There should be a destroyer. It should be one of the Bensons about. Yep, there is. Hello, Mr. Benson. Sonar up and shots out. And yeah, obviously the main guns are over penetrating on the armor piercing, so you really do have to use the high explosive. But now we've got a better target. Black Shimanto, rapid reload up at 7 kilometers with the 280s. That should be a little bit more what we're looking for. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we'd like to see. Light cruisers. A cruiser killer guns. Unfortunately, the Shimanto makes his way out of there, and by now the destroyer is heading over here as well. So yeah, I'm gonna have to turn around and defend. Yes, and there comes the request from support. That is probably the lone battleship who's paid attention. Do have to move my way around the Shimanto torps. Not quite managing it with both of them. But yes, I am already coming back, so don't worry, I'm on my way. And just helping out while I'm here with the 150s against the Benson, and but Harlem should have the. Yeah, there's an Atlantic. The whole team is here at this point. Destroyer to his. The cargo is turning kind of around, but it's a little late unless he can ambush that Amagi over there. Would have been better to slow down the enemy advance, but the first problem is obviously the Benson, because the Benson has the potential to actually cap us out, because my team is nowhere near the enemy capture circle yet, and the Benson is already capping and he is hunting, and I am being shot at, so insta have to heal that, but can't quite take my time here, and I will have to get a little closer to that Benson, and I will switch to high explosive on the mains. But my weapon of choice again are the 150s here, because the mains are not the most precise guns, but at closer ranges, if I can get the shots on target with the rapid reload up, I can do a fair amount of damage. But I'm doing almost as much with the 150s as I am doing with the main guns at this point. So simply because the 150mm armor piercing is very, very good. And that's what you really want. I've got sonar running, so I should not be surprised by any torpedoes, and Benson should be about done with one of the next salvos here. Just have to be a little careful with the torpedoes. Friendly, what is it back there? Kansas? I'm not sure. Should probably have him. You might want to dodge any torpedoes that are coming in. And yeah, Kansas has taken out the Benson. Well done, Kansas. And that is cap defended for now. And I'll head into the capture circle and relieve you. I've still got some hit points left. At this point, it's not about holding forever. It's only about holding until the friendly team's capping out, because most of my team is heading to the enemy capture circle, except for the cargo, who's still kind of sitting around in the middle. We have Takao now, and I am out of sonar. So hello, Mr. Takao, and that's what I mean. You lose your 150s very easily. Hello, Mr. Takao. I have a rapid reload ready, and I'm not afraid to use it. So have some 280mm pain. There will be torpedoes in the water because it's a Takao, that's what they do, but Takao doesn't have great forward angles, so as long as I'm backing off here, I don't think he can actually get torpedo angles, and he hasn't been paying attention. There come torpedoes from the other side, which doesn't matter because I've managed to take him out. Now in that last turn he may have gotten torpedoes away, because I think the Tarkow's angles are about 90 degrees. Yep, there they go, but he only managed to get one spread off before I've taken him out, but I've already anticipated them. But unfortunately now I'm down to 20,000 hit points, and I'm up against Amagi and Black Kansas. Which doesn't mean that I can't Citadel and Amagi from here. That's the APCS Plus at work, which really makes these main guns shine. But at this point, I'm just here to prevent them from capping and have a bit of fun, because honestly, we're about to win on capping if my team decides to stay and not come back. Now, Amagi might know that I have torpedoes, or might not, you never know, but I think at this point German battle cruisers are well known enough that everybody probably assumes that they have torpedoes. I've got one more heel coming off. I might get the torpedoes on the other side away against the Kansas there. So torpedoes off, and Amagi has avoided the torpedoes, which is very unfortunate. So like I said, I am going to die, with or without torpedoes. Not without doing a bit of damage here to the Amagi, of course, but it's yeah, I'm not going to survive that. Still landed a torpedo against the Kansas. Have lost, I think, one of my secondaries again, but that's just normal. Last salvo at the Amagi. Amagi takes me out. That is fine. We have done what we came here to do, which is to prevent the enemy team from taking the capture circle before the friendly team can take it, and to do as much damage as we could, because while we're not winning by capping, and the rest of my team is now arriving that we've capped because they have nothing better to do, and they might this Amagi and the Kansas might still take one or two down, but obviously we've done enough damage and prevented the cap long enough that things haven't gone worse. So Schill, I would say it's a decent ship. Obviously for a German, she's facing some stiff competition there, because ships like the Odin exist, and hippers are no slouch either. But this is one of those ships that really needs the APCS skill. So she really, the gun caliber is in this awkward corner, similar to the Odin, that she really needs the APCS skill to shine. But if you have that going, it's a great fun ship. Just remember that you are not in a battle cruiser, you're in a battle cruiser. It's an upgunned hipper, treated like a hipper with some really big gun turrets, and I think you'll be rewarded. It's a fun ship. It's and it fits nicely within the corpus of German ships, I would say. So you can shift someone like von Hipper over without too much trouble, and enjoy yourself on this ship. So there you have it. That is the Schill, a Tier 8 German battle cruiser that may or may not be available at some point in some fashion that I am completely unaware of, because I tend not to pay attention to these things. But if you see it and if you want to know if you should get it, then I may have some info for you. And that's it for me today. Thanks everybody, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.